looks can be deceiving on our MSI GL63 9SDk. The K stands for per key RGB. The non-K models will have red backlighting. Pricing on this has been varying quite a bit, and I will do my best to put links in the description below to find SKUs that are very close to what we have here today. All right, let's get started. Don't let this 5-pound all-plastic chassis fool you. It's packing one heck of a punch where it counts. Inside we have the 9750H and a GTX 1660 Ti. The graphics card uses thermal paste for its thermal interface material, and the CPU will use thermal pads. I found this to be a little bit unique, especially upon the teardown. For memory, we're running dual channel 16 gigabytes at 2666. The storage on this model is a full terabyte Western Digital NVMe read-writes at 2900, 2600. This is very good stuff. We have an extra M.2 slot that will either work in 4-lane NVMe or SATA, and an empty 2.5-inch drive bay. Installing a 2.5-inch drive solid state such as this here is very easy and should take about 3 minutes. The metal bracketry and 4 screws will come inside the box. This is very easy to do. The network interface card is the 9560, and the 6-cell 51 watt-hour battery on our NVIDIA Optimus only equipped laptop is realistically only worth about 3 hours unplugged. Pretty standard. The power supply unit is not bulky and it's appropriately sized at 180 watts. I just wanted to add that the factory partition was split in half. That was awfully annoying, so I started fresh, deleted all the partitions, reinstalled the operating system, and put this machine together the way that I saw fit. On the GL63, these are just stickers on the back of the lid, so I've removed these to make it look that much more stealthy. I much prefer it this way. Alright, moving on to the I/O. On the left-hand side, we have a LAN port, an HDMI, a mini display port, USB 3.1, a USB Type-C, this is not Thunderbolt 3, and a separate headphone and mic jack. On the right-hand side, we have an SD card reader. This is connected via USB 2.0, so do not expect fast read-writes, but it is there and I appreciate that. There's also 2 USB 3.1s and the barrel power port. You're not going to be able to open this with one hand with the battery in the back. The front end is very light. The touchpad is plastic, it uses Synaptics drivers, it has dedicated buttons. They're nothing special, the buttons are a little squishy, and the trackpad is actually just carved out of the deck itself. Although it is very smooth, it works okay. Now the keyboard itself uses SteelSeries keys, some of the best in the business in laptops in my opinion. It also has a numeric pad, of course the deck being plastic, but temperatures under the heaviest load in the mid-30s while gaming, it's a very comfortable experience. On the top right deck features 3 buttons. We have the cooler boost fan mode, which will max out the fans, capped at around 52 decibels. We also have the ability to change the SteelSeries factory default keyboard colors here. Feel free to make this per key should you see fit, but I do like that we can cycle through various things, and the SteelSeries software itself always has worked very well for me. And to the right of that, the power button. This laptop, for its asking price, is doing a few things better than its competition. Number 1, this display. This is 120 Hz, 3 millisecond TN panel. Don't freak out. There's not a whole lot of color shift here. It's not all that bad. Now when you tip it back, it kind of disappears. Something you don't get from IPS. I will put the part number here for you, and here's where it becomes a little special. 100% standard RGB and 89% Adobe RGB, that's right, and 319 nits, so just average or a little bit above average when it comes to brightness. The color saturation post-calibration on this is awesome. I have experience with this panel previously. I used this panel to install in many laptops out there, and it's nice to see it make a return. You can also find this panel online between $50 and $70 to install in your thicker bezel laptops as well. I have featured it before. This is a great display, but out of the box, it's hideous. The color temperature is very cool, and I see a lot of people get their hands on this thing and they complain immediately. And I will have to agree with them, it looks atrocious out of the box. Link in the description below for my ICC color profile for this display. Alright, so the panel is good. What about the webcam?
720p webcam look and sound like this. There's a little bit of noise here with the video. It looks okay enough, and the SteelSeries keyboard actually sounds quite lovely. It's very quiet. I always like the microphones on a lot of these laptops, this one in particular, because when there's a loud ambient noise, you'll only hear it for about a second, and it drowns itself out. I will demonstrate that with maximum fans. You can still hear me now. The maximum fan speed you were able to pick up for about a second, maybe a little bit less. It mellowed itself out, and now here we are. Not bad, MSI.
Alright, now the good stuff. In my very strong opinion, I find that the most important things when it comes to laptops are power limitations and thermal performance. Frame rates, benchmarks, things like that are going to change and scale upon driver releases, BIOS updates, your ambient temperatures, various things like that. But when it comes to game drivers, game performance tends to change over time. You're going to get a lot of people out there stating that the 1660 Ti is faster than a 2060, and it is just not the case. This is why I do not want to reveal benchmarks of this particular chassis, because this 1660 Ti is benchmarking just a hair above what a 2060 laptop review did 4 months ago. But if I were to take a 80 watt 2060 and an 80 watt 1660 Ti today, the 2060 is always going to win. So with that said, let's go over to the power limitations on the CPU and GPU. Our 1660 Ti will power limit itself at 80 watts. This is not a max Q. The CPU power limit 1 will run at 80 watts for about 28 seconds, and then the power limit 2 kicks in at around 60 to 55 watts. It'll run this indefinitely as long as the CPU is loaded by itself. Average high temperatures on the CPU are going to be right around 85 degrees Celsius, with a spike to 96 degrees Celsius only when the first power limit kicked in of 80 watts and you were not running Cooler Boost. The GPU average temperatures while gaming were around 71 degrees Celsius, and the GPU absolute max spike was around 75 degrees Celsius. All of this with an ambient temperature of around 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we're going to use Battlefield 5 to demonstrate how the undervolt's going to work on this particular laptop. Since we are not running into any thermal throttling and our CPU is limited to 45 watts, when we undervolt, we're not going to decrease thermals, but we are going to increase the core frequency of our CPU, as you can see here. Now here we have temperatures on Battlefield 5 running very well. We are several hours into gaming and temperatures on average have been very good. But temperatures in this game revealed are going to be much higher than what you will see in most other titles. That is because Battlefield 5 is heavily threaded. It will use the CPU tremendously. It will also use the GPU, and it'll even stretch out the legs of the memory. Moving on to Apex Legends, temperatures here are going to be spectacular and will be pretty typical per most of the games out there. This is going to be GPU bound and a little less CPU bound. You will see the wattage of our CPU somewhere in the mid-30s on average, and our GL63 is not even skipping a beat. This is very easy work for this laptop. Same goes for Far Cry 5. Our CPU wattage is going to be in the mid-30s. The GPU load is right where it needs to be. Temperatures here are no sweat for this laptop whatsoever. Should you wish to have a little bit quieter machine, just let the automatic fan curve do the trick. Temperatures will go up a little bit, as you can see here, but the fan acoustics will go from 52 decibels to around 46 to 48 decibels. The speaker audio of the GL63 definitely punches above its weight and sounds better than many laptops costing $500 more. Have a listen. this laptop really surprised me. It reminds me of the Google Pixel 3a, that $400 phone where it has a plastic build to it, but it has a great camera, an excellent screen. It might not be for everybody, but it's doing a lot of things that people like and keeping the price down. And this is an all-plastic build. The trackpad is rather meh, battery life pretty pokey, but the keyboard is excellent. The post-calibration of the panel is absolutely legendary, and the cooling solution inside is absolutely solid. What I love about the cooling solution here is it's like a miniaturized version of the Raider that I have featured on the channel several times, except those have been from HID Evolution and have featured liquid metal. Now we get to see what stock performance is like, but out of my curiosity, I happen to put liquid metal on the CPU only. I will put a link in the description below for the teardown on that, and now look what kind of temperatures we're getting. 10 degrees Celsius cooler on the CPU. I'm not saying you have to put liquid metal on here, but I appreciate a good cooling solution as it responds very well to new thermal interface material. Now, liquid metal applications are not for everybody. That will void your warranty. That's why I like companies like HID Evolution and Electronics, because for a small fee, they will do that. I'm not trying to advertise for them. I put the liquid metal on myself. It was my responsibility, and I love the turnout. Not to mention that, I don't have to run maximum fan curve anymore, and I can get decibels even quieter than the automatic fan curve did with stock paste, right around 44 to 45 decibels. So overall, if the price is right on this laptop, I think it's one of the better choices for a pure gaming laptop out there right now compared to the other ones that are priced right around that $1,100 to, let's say, $1,300 or $1,400 price point. But MSI has so many different versions of this laptop being sold through many different vendors that it's really hard to get a grip on the good ones per its asking price. If you can find something like this for around $1,200 or $1,300 or less, I say go for it. If you're looking at $1,400 or $1,500, maybe give it a pass. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.